Loud and Quiet presents Midnight Chats.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Loud and Quiet interview podcast, Midnight Chats. I'm recording this part of the podcast in my car, which is outside our office, and this car failed its MOT this week, and now there's not really much use for it. I mean, I will deal with it in a responsible manner. I'm not going to abandon the car here before anyone thinks otherwise, but it's quite noisy upstairs in our office, so I've come down here to record this awkward part where I have to introduce who my guest is this week. So, currently sat in a car park in Hackney in the cold, looking kind of strange to the people in the office below us who are looking out their window at me. But they will get over it, I'm sure. So my guest this week on the podcast is a friend of Loud and Quiet, I would say. I mean, he's just a musician like anyone else that we interview in the magazine and online and here on the podcast. But Wesley Gonzalez is someone that I've followed his music endeavors since he was a child, actually. He formed Wrestle around the time I was starting Loud and Quiet, around 2005. And that band has now split up. They were quite a tumultuous threesome, a punk DIY slacker group. And this year he released his first solo album, which is called Excellent Musician. Now, if you do read Loud and Quiet as well as listening to this podcast, then you may recognise the name Wesley Gonzalez as a cover feature that we did earlier this year. Wesley was on the front under the headline Man vs. Indie. That was because Wesley has decided that guitars just aren't for him anymore. So having made his name in a guitar band and very much in the indie rock sphere, he's over it now. And he's made an album called Excellent Musician, which doesn't feature any guitars. It features synthesizers and piano mainly. But strangely, it kind of sounds like there's a guitar on there. I don't know how he's done that, but you have to be reminded that there isn't one on there. Anyway, we did a feature earlier this year and had a really fun day where we walked around the guitar shops of London and we tried to get guitar people to listen to Wesley's new single and tell us what they liked about it. It was good fun. We start the conversation reminiscing about that and also talking about Wesley's videos. I'm going to put a link on our website below where this podcast is being posted on our website, at least, to Wesley's videos, because he's made 5 videos this year and they're all quite something to behold. So if you're listening to this on your phone or via the Acast app or the Apple app or whatever, then do take the time to go on YouTube and just put in Wesley Gonzalez and check out some of the videos he's made. The ultimate one is his trip to Ibiza, which is where we will pick up this conversation. Thanks to Wesley for coming in. It was a really fun one, this. So it's a bit longer than they usually are. And what more do I need to tell you? There's a bit of swearing in it. Wesley is a bit of a potty mouth. He freely admits that. And as long as you're okay with that, please enjoy this episode. We're going to have a couple more episodes of the podcast before Christmas time, and then we'll take off a couple of weeks. Nobody really wants to be listening to our podcast over the Christmas period, I'm sure, so we'll pick it back up in January. So there will be a couple of more, but for now, here is Wesley Gonzalez. And if you're currently in the market for a Peugeot 206 04 series without an MOT and very little hope of passing one, I can help you with that. Last time I saw you was when we did the cover feature. Was that March?
something like that. March, April. When did the record come out? That came out June. It was a couple of...
It was a little bit earlier,
Yeah, a little
wasn't
bit
it?
earlier than that. Yeah. So it must be around then.
So to bring any listeners up to date, that was for a feature for the magazine, a cover feature, where we went down Denmark Street.
Yeah.
And attempted to play People in Guitar Shops, your album, which doesn't feature any guitar.
No guitar at all, yeah.
To get their opinion, but we weren't that successful.
No, not at all.
Because they were just too grumpy.
They weren't, overall they weren't that grumpy though, were they? They were quite polite.
Well,
and there was a couple of guys who just told us to bugger off, but overall they were like frustratingly polite.
Yeah, the ones
I did want them to sort of really start slating it, but I couldn't. They didn't ever get to that point.
No, because basically the people that would have been cruel about it wouldn't even talk to us, and the people that would talk to us were just too polite, so they said, "Oh, I like it."
Yeah, what was the guy? The guy said it sounded like Mystery Jets.
Is that yeah?
Just a bizarre reference.
I don't know where he got that from. But but everyone was quite pleasant. It was a fun day out though.
Yes.
In nevertheless, they're just weird shops though, aren't they?
They are very
just generally odd. Like.
I don't know why I keep on putting these ideas out there that it's putting myself in a situation which makes me the most anxious and nervous I could possibly be.
Were you really anxious that day?
Yeah, I get so terrified of doing it. I get really terrified of talking to people. I'm very good at pretending I'm not terrified. I don't exude anxiety in any way, but it fucking terrifies me.
Inside,
Yeah, I'm dying.
You're dying.
Yeah.
You covered that up very well. You sat on that. I remember that day very well, and you seemed with it. You were straight in there, walking up to them and saying, "Hey, can I play you my record?"
I think I gear myself up into it. It was like, I don't know. I think I'm paying too much attention to John Ronson or something, and like that's going into this sort of like, I'm gonna do it. But I've gotten all right. It's like we did that video in Ibiza, and that's the same. That was the most terrifying 2 days I've ever had. It was really. There were about 2 or 3 occasions where I thought I'm genuinely going to get the shit kicked out of me.
So this is the video for Amsterdam.
Yes.
This is the video of the year.
Yeah. Well, I think so.
This is for anyone listening that's not seen this yet. I suggest you stop listening to this podcast now. Go and watch that. It'll take 3 minutes of your day, and then come back to this podcast. This is Wesley's video for his track Amsterdam, and it's you on a lad's holiday. It's filmed in Ibiza, right?
It is filmed in Ibiza, yes.
Let's just set the scene of it. It's
If we start off from the beginning, we found out what the budget was from the label. I'm sat with my mate Danny, who does all the videos. We do them all together. He's an old friend of mine. He also does a band called Charles Howell, who are very good. And we sat there, found out how much the budget was. We talked up this like ridiculous idea that was slightly Vic and Bob-esque that we were planning, and then just not really feeling it. And then found out how much money it was. We were like, let's see flights. Where can we go with this budget? And it matched perfectly. The budget was sort of £100 off for spending on the video, and then 200 quid on the flights.
On the flights, okay.
So go to Ibiza. I think this is because we watched an episode of Sun Sex Suspicious Parents as well.
That was the
influence behind it.
Okay.
And originally the video was also going to be us interviewing my mum afterwards and her watching the footage and getting subtitles, but the song was too short to get it in there. We even went round and started setting everything up at my mum's house. But so we fly over. We had about an hour's sleep on the way over. When neither of us had been to Ibiza before, neither of us had been on a lad's holiday before.
Why had you only had an hour's sleep at this point?
Because the flight was like, cheap flight.
Okay, right.
It
was
like
like
5 a.m.
Right, sure.
We had to get to Stansted, and
okay.
So an hour. It wasn't any mad partying or anything.
Okay,
it was we were sober. Just went and got there at like 7 a.m. The Airbnb we were staying in was literally just as we. Like right next to the beach, and we walked and we were a bit worried because it was so serene, but obviously that's 7 a.m.
Yeah,
and it was like, it's a bit quiet here, I'm a bit worried about this. And then we went, checked into the Airbnb, sat down for a minute, and then we're like, okay, let's go do it. Geared ourselves up, went out and did it. The first shot, we're lying, it's me lying on the beach. It's one of the first shots in the video as well. I'm lying on the beach with whiskey and Coke. I'm singing the song. I've got
You're wearing like brown trousers.
I've got this T-shirt made that says "I love excellent musician," which caused a lot of trouble as well the whole time I was there. People going, "You are excellent musician," and yes, I am. So I'm lying on the beach, and this Welsh guy just runs up instantly as soon as he notices I'm doing something slightly odd. Runs up, tucks his little penis out of the top of his shorts, and proceeds to start humping my head. And we got this shot, and I could see Danny filming me, just like, do not move, do not change. Something amazing is happening right now. You don't know what it is, but something brilliant is happening. And then we went to the bar and sat down, and we looked at the footage, and we were like, we've made the complete right decision. This is the best possible thing we could have done. I think like half an hour later, I'm really smashing the drinks back as well to get through this. Very, very scared. I go up and start talking to these guys. This again, very early on in the video, you see it. I start talking to these guys doing laughing gas, and I'm trying to get balloons off them.
Yeah.
And I go, "Hey, you all right, guys?" I don't know how to approach it. "You all right, fellas? How you doing? Could I possibly buy one of those laughing gas canisters off you?" And all of them looked at me and just started walking. And it's one of the shots where I'm walking behind them and I do this weird hand gesture, like I'm in with them or something. It's bizarre. And those are the guys where it was like, they're going to kill me. They could sense that I was following them.
Okay.
And then they sort of turned around and I ran off. I was like, I'm going to get murdered now. And everybody was so huge as well, like really massively beefed up dudes. We got away with most of the video by telling people we worked for Vice,
right?
Because it explained why we were such odd dickheads, like that in there, Vice was sort of enough of a platform that they understood what that was.
Yeah.
Understood that we were just some hipster dickheads trying to make some stupid video or whatever. So we did get through it in the end, but it was, and we only had 2 hours sleep while we were there. Like over the space of 3 days, we had about 3 hours sleep, and it was just absolutely exhausting and grueling. But it was. I'm so happy with how it came out.
Did you manage to enjoy the experience? Because you've never. This is the first quote unquote lads' holiday you've been on.
Well, we were discussing it when we were there of what constitutes a lads' holiday, and I went away with the 2 guys I did Let's Wrestle with and a few school friends when we were about 15 to Montpellier in France, which I wouldn't call a lads' holiday, but it was 6 lads, but just dorky lads.
Well, this is what's changed, I think, because I'm from Essex, so I've been on lads' holidays willingly, and had a great time. But then, and maybe this is just maybe my complexion and my build, but now it seems like everyone looks like you're saying it. Well, the guys are all massive guys; they all really look after themselves. I don't know if this is like since Towie and Made in Chelsea and all those things. I'm not sure what it is, but
I'm questioning the roids situation. It's some serious steroid shit going on as well, I think.
Because when I went on lads' holidays, it was really like we probably thought we were cool, but it was more like the in-betweeners.
Well, we saw a lot of people like that as well.
Oh, did you? Okay. So that would have been
we were trying to keep away from those people because it became too real in that sense. We had to only get the beefcakes in. But we did see other people there who
looked as awkward as you felt.
Yeah, pretty much. But they obviously didn't have the confidence in themselves that they knew they didn't belong there. At least we knew we didn't belong. They were trying to get along with everybody and it just wasn't working. And sort of, you did feel really bad for them. And I've only been in situations like that with like sort of youngish testosterone fueled trying to get laid sort of situations very infrequently. I think I learned from a very early age that I wasn't that person. But I did, on this holiday to Montpellier, again, I think it was because the flights were like a tenner. I was just going to like the middle of the summer, go to Montpellier and just sort of had nothing to do. There was no clubs in Montpellier or anything like that. I think we did finally find a club and everybody was really excited that there was a club. They finally found a club. We went in and there was nobody in there. And I was just being a negative bastard going, oh, this is terrible. There's nobody here. What's
and the point?
I was like, look at you anyway. Do you think anybody's going to shag you? Look at you. Look, we all look like idiots. What do you think's going to happen? And then about 20 Irish girls came into the club, and everybody I was with got so incredibly excited that there were these girls there, and it got really. And I think I made one joke that I don't know if I should repeat. I made one joke to one of them, just honestly thinking it was quite funny.
Yeah.
It went down so badly that all 20 girls left.
Wow.
She went, okay, we're all going now. And they all stormed out of the club and left instantly. And then everybody turned around and hated me for the rest of the time.
You blew it. That was going to be, that was everyone's moment.
It was going to be an orgy in the youth hostel.
With the rest of your party, the rest of Let's Wrestle and the friends you're with, were any of them getting on with any of the Irish girls? Just even if they were just chatting to them and it was going quite well. I think maybe in their
minds they were.
Yeah.
It's funny because Louis, who I did Let's Wrestle with, I think he was more on my level. He knew we weren't getting lucky in any way. We were a bit more like realistic about it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fuck a fucking 15-year-old boy. Anyway. But, we were realists about it. But everybody else was like, this is it. This is it. We're new people now. Like one of them bought a copy of Nuts magazine on the plane, and I was like, "You've never bought Nuts before. Why are you buying Nuts magazine?" And he's like, "What?" And got really defensive. It's like some reinvention of himself as a lad. And it's like, you're a posh boy from Muswell Hill. You're going to Montpellier and you're buying a copy of fucking Nuts. What are you doing? But it was horrific, and they went the next year and they didn't invite me
to the same, not to the same place.
No, they went. Okay. They went somewhere equally as middle class though.
And they're like, don't invite Wes because he blows it with all the girls.
Yeah, in this clubless culture land. I think they went to Vienna or something.
So when you're in Ibiza and you're hanging out with these beefcakes, how would you get the shots that you needed of talking to them? Would you ever say we're making a video, or would you just how did you go about getting those kind of big stacked guys in? Did you just start filming them?
Some of them we were just, some of them Danny was going over by himself because I looked too odd. So it's when it's the individual shots, I'm hiding round the corner because as soon as I'm in it, they know that something's odd.
This is exactly how we did the cover feature.
Yeah.
With me going into the shop and saying, I've got this musician outside.
That's my tactic, and I was hiding because I knew as soon as I get involved, it goes wrong, and they realise something's up terribly wrong.
Is that just because they think this guy is clearly taking the piss?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about my demeanour that I can't. I'm very bad at I think in the same way that sometimes especially in the music industry, a lot of the time selling yourself, you're just going I'm brilliant, I'm fantastic, and I don't have the capability of doing that. If something's going wrong, I'm going to go, this is fucking terrible, everything's awful, I want to kill myself, this is terrible. And I can't do the thing. So it's the same thing. If I know that I'm trying to get a rise in some sort of way, I've got a look on my face, and I'm wearing a t-shirt that says I love excellent musician, that I've designed the logo on my phone as well. I designed that t-shirt on my phone, which I thought modern technology wise was absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So a lot of it he had to do, that sort of side of it. But then
you'd pop up.
Then there were other ones where I would go and approach them and say, we're making a documentary. That was the line. We're making a documentary about lad culture. And there's so many noisy documentaries on lads in Ibiza or whatever. We knew we could get away with it. So I was doing that, and then they'd just be chatting. And a lot of them were just really sweet guys as well. Yeah. They're just like, oh yeah, brilliant. Even the guy coming and humping my head when we talked to him after, he was like, oh, you're making a video, brilliant. And he's got really excited. So everybody, it was weird. It was sort of, sometimes you just, as soon as you could smell, I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me, I just get the fuck away from it as quickly as possible. If there was 6 lads on a hen do, and they all had tattoos up to their ears, completely full body tattooed, looked absolutely like they come out of a gang, they looked terrifying. And they talked to me, oh yeah, I'm just on my hen do, it's just sort of, it's our last night tonight, so we're going to have a real mad one. And it's just, oh right, this isn't what I thought it was. But you look the part, so we're just sort of trying to find anybody that sort of did that. I mean, the worst bit was there was one shot where we were walking down the big strip where all the clubs are, and I'm singing the song Walking Down, and that took about 3 hours, because I was so pissed as well. I was like,
you do look absolutely shit-faced. Yeah. I was going to say, is that just that's just real? That's not
it was. Yeah, I was absolutely shit-faced. We were going into every bar you go into there, they'll give you a free shot just for going in. And Danny, the director, wasn't drinking, so we'd got 2 shots every bar, and I'd do both of them. and then we go to the next place, do both of them. And it was because I knew at some point I'm going to have to go and start doing mad dancing in a club. I'm going to have to do...
That's the best. That's the best moment when you're dancing and there's kind of a vague circle around you of people looking.
The video could have just been that one long... I was just dancing to a song for 3 minutes. It was literally that, and we could have just released that of me dancing and doing this psychotic, really like weird tribal shucking that I'm doing. And just sort of, I was thinking like, I'm like trying my best to look completely normal, just going, this is the most unnatural thing I've ever done. And I can as well, it's like I'm all right at dancing. I'm not too bad at dancing. And I think that's the funny thing, is that I'm not bad at it, but I am just choosing to do the weirdest dancing. And they're playing like tech house in that club as well. It's like listening to horrible tech house music. And it was the music, there was the worst music. And I love techno and house music and stuff like that, but it was the worst of the worst, like, you know, Avicii and stuff like that. And trying to dance to like a Rihanna club remix, but doing it in this insane style. So
because actually, oddly, it's kind of in time to the tune, like to your song.
Well, that's what I was trying to think.
You were trying to
I was
sing
trying
that
to
to
think, if
yourself.
I'm doing like a straight beat, it's not going to work with the song. So it has to be this weird flailing around, but also slightly rhythmic. But yeah, there is a shot where you see one guy in the background who is just looking the most perplexed I've ever seen anybody look. Yeah. He looks so like, what the fuck is going on? This is not what I signed up for. This isn't the Ibiza I know and love. He just could not suss it out whatsoever. But it was the most exhausting 2 days I've ever had. And then we got back the next morning, again, no sleep, and had to go straight to work as well. I got the base from the airport straight into Soho to the record shop to work.
Jesus.
And luckily my boss gave me an extra hour off. And
that's sweet.
I showed him the video afterwards, and he was like, I'm glad I gave you the other hour.
You deserve it.
I gave you the hour.
Deserve that.
Yeah.
You did it make you think differently at all of like lad culture? Like when you talk about, when you say like, you know, you met some people and you thought they look hard, but then they're like really sweet guys. Did it make you kind of think?
I've never really thought.
Maybe some of them are all right.
I've not really had much of a disparaging thought about it, to be honest. I think the weird thing about it was, I think I put it in the press release that I didn't want it to be in any way mocking of people. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of my family are like that. I'm from a family of a lot of people who are working class people who like to go and get shit-faced and
on an island
terrifying.
Somewhere.
Yeah. You know, it's not, I'm used to it, weirdly, like but not in that circumstance. So I didn't have much preconceptions in the first place. And, but it was exactly what you would expect. It is walking into an episode of Sunset Suspicious Parents, which is just one of my favourite shows ever. And it, like, you know, we were going back to the Airbnb and filming and watching the show and copying the camera angles. Like, we get one shot in the video where it's me doing a shot and the camera follows the shot going up to my mouth, which is something we nicked directly from Sunset Suspicious Parents. We got a few in there that we were really, like, nobody's going to notice, but we were really proud that we got the exact same shooting that they had done in Sunset Suspicious Parents. But I don't think it changed my mind on it. No. In any way. I mean, people are just people, and people like to let their hair down and stuff like that, and you know, people do whatever they want. I mean, we made a big point. We didn't want to film in any of the clubs that had strippers or anything. You know, that there is so much misogyny in those places, and you know, just the amount of women walking around in a bikini and heels, and you sort of just feel really terrible. It's like, you just be comfortable. You're on holiday, just have a nice time. Yeah. But they're still looking at themselves as these sort of, I've got to be in some way sexual to these beefcake men, and it's the testosterone levels are so incredibly different to, and it does sort of soak into you as well. You sort of start thinking in a different way. In a way I wouldn't usually think, like, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, you start going like, you know, you sort of remember that you're a bloke as well, and all this. So it's like, oh no, I'm from an arts background, you know, like I can't be thinking like this. I'm not an ogre. Yeah, I'm a homely sort of, you know, music guy. I can't be doing this, but yeah, it was bizarre. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever done, and I'm really glad I did it, but I never want to do it again.
So then you come back and go pretty much straight to work. This is in
Sister Ray.
Sister Ray.
Yeah.
I still call it Selector Disc in my mind.
Yes.
I had to catch myself saying.
Well, when I first started going, I always remembered it as Selected Disc.
Selected
So I
Disc,
started going when I was about 12, when it was over the road and stuff.
On the opposite
So,
side.
yeah.
That's a paper chase now.
It's very depressing.
Sad.
It's depressing that you see like couples come in, the bloke go downstairs and the wife go, I'm just going to paper chase. And that really upsets me, you know. Obviously not all the time, but so it's like, I'll wait for you in paper chase.
Oh.
And it's like, what is in there? What are people for? It's wrapping paper.
Wrapping paper and kind of like ironic cards, I think.
I think the only good place to buy gift cards are corner shops.
Absolutely. The one across the road from here, I bought up all of their gift cards because they're old. They're not going to restock them. I think they've been in there since 1985 or
With
something.
the ones where they're really shoddily made and it's just like a picture of 2 wine glasses and it says congratulations.
Yeah, or it's like an embossed football and a football boot.
Yeah. They're great. I love
Happy
those.
birthday, Dad.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What's great about them is they're from a pre-ironic age, aren't they? There's no... They're so kind of earnest and sweet. There's something lovely about them.
That's the problem with modern culture in general, is that everything has some sort of niche boutique vibe now. And
some gag in it, yeah.
I just want everything to be shit like it was.
Yeah, no, paper chase excels in that, doesn't it? Like I think,
really
like
does.
kind of little nods and things.
Fancy ribbons.
How is the record shop?
Very well.
Because in a way, like when we were going in all the guitar shops and we were talking about how guitar shops are particularly kind of weird. It's a weird specialist place where you feel awkward as soon as you've gone in, and the dudes there are kind of quite sometimes quite dweeby guys. They want to prove that they know about
Porcupine Tree fans.
They
People who know who Stephen Wilson is.
Really, I'm really proud of it. And it's to a lesser extent for sure, but like record shops do fill some people with that similar kind of dread. I think I get when I'm record shopping, especially if I'm buying a classic. Yeah. If I'm buying a Beatles album or an Elton John record or something, I'm embarrassed when I'm paying for it.
I know what you mean. I've had that myself.
Because I kind of just think, you kind of want to say, I work in music. I do know other music. I just want this one. It's
like you just go up and whisper Merzbow. Just so they know. I know about noise music. It's fine. No, I had that. Well, before I worked in Sister A, I used to work at Music and Video Exchange, which I think at one point was voted the rudest shop in London.
Is this the Camden one?
No, the Camden one was the only one I didn't work in. I worked in the Notting Hill one, Greenwich one, and the Soho one.
Okay.
And I remember once this bloke I was working with, and there were so many members of staff there, because the way you get the job is you do a written test on music.
No, you don't.
Genuinely, you don't do an interview. If you pass the test, it's questions like, which band is Brian Chippendale in? Right. Lightning Bolt. Okay. It's just like, really, where is Touch and Go Records based? Like really incredibly meticulous questions.
But all kind of from, is it all from like a DIY hardcore punk?
No, it's across the board.
It's across the board.
And they even do it with the clothes shops, the book shops, Music and Video Exchange, because they've got all the different kinds of shops. Yeah. So when you sit down, and there's a school desk in one of the shops where prospective shop workers have to go and do this written test. And you sit in this school desk and do this 5-page test. So the first one's rock and pop, the second one is soul music, the third one is dance music. The fourth one is books. The fifth one is designer clothes.
So you can kind of swat up for it, but you don't know what's on the test, right? But they tell you beforehand.
Well,
if you want to work,
if you're going to do the test, you phone up the owner. I don't know if it's changed. I worked there a long time ago, but so I went in. I asked for a job. They said, "Okay, we'll call the owner." The owner. I'm on the phone to the owner, who I worked there for a while. I only met him once. He never came in the shop. So I spoke to him on the phone. He went, "Name all the members of the Smiths." Okay, name all the members of Roxy Music. Okay, come down Sunday. We'll give you the test, and that's it. And then I went down, did the test. You're there for half an hour.
Got it?
Yeah, got the test.
Did they give you a pass grade, or is it just pass or fail?
I think you have to get like 80% or above to get through. And like for instance, at that point, I didn't know that much about dance music, so I wouldn't have been. I only worked in the rock and pop shop. I wouldn't work in the dance music shop.
Right.
So you have special. So there's 5 pages, so they can determine which shops you can. Like I did days in the clothes shop because I didn't do too bad in the clothes, even though I'm not really a fashion guy at all.
Okay.
So it's just a bizarre way to get a job, and the way that the thing that sets up is somebody who, I mean, it plays to people's autism. You know, somebody who's slightly autistic would be brilliant at the test, but terrible at dealing with people. And that was common in the shop. And that, you know, and I had it once. There was one bloke played this Roy Wood record I like, Boulders. And it came on, and I went up to him. And this is a guy, like a colleague. And I went, brilliant choice, love this Roy Wood record. And he just didn't say anything. He just looked at the floor. And it was like, I work with you. I'm saying good choice. You know, how are you being this rude to me?
You're like, I passed the test, mate.
Yeah.
Like,
but he wrote for the Wire, so that answers a lot of questions.
Okay, that says a lot. that explains it all. Well, I mean, that's good. That's good to know that, because I kind of feel maybe am I being paranoid when I'm feeling awkward in a record shop? But maybe
I think that's natural. But I mean, you know, it changes from shop to shop, I guess, or who's working there. But it goes hand in hand. People who know that much about music are always slightly dysfunctional. So it's sort of, and also it's a hard thing when, like, if somebody's being rude, if it's like a rich person who's buying a Dire Straits record who's being really rude to you, you're sort of like, you're buying terrible music, you're being horrible to me. Stop. You get a lot of that, and people, because it's a niche market, people get confused about how the stuff works a lot of the time as well. So you hear the same question over and over and over again. So I can understand it. I mean, I say I'm never rude. I try never to be rude to people. I don't think, you know, anybody deserves it.
Yeah.
Ever, whatever they're buying, or, you know, and I don't subscribe to that sort of thing. And I don't think anybody in the shop that I work at does.
No.
And I think also that has sort of, over time, I think maybe because of the record market crashing in like the late noughties, I think that changed. People were like, I have to be a bit nicer now. I have to, you know, put a bit more effort in, because otherwise I just won't have a job. And so that's kept to it. Also, fucking that TripAdvisor stuff as well, you know.
That's true, yeah.
So you can be reviewed in any way at any time. So you always, you know,
you can be
you're
shamed.
on your toes,
yeah.
you know. So I think it has gone down, that sort of record shop rudeness, over the last few years.
What is the thing with whenever I go in a record shop, and I consider myself that I know a bit about music. I don't think I could pass the test at all. I would be terrible at that. But
nobody should be able.
Nobody should be able to pass the test. It's weird if you can.
Yeah, I'm slightly ashamed.
Slightly embarrassed that you managed it. But whenever I go in a record shop, I very rarely recognise the song that's on.
Yeah, I.
What's that about? Is that on purpose? Like, I feel like I've never gone in and gone, oh, they're playing. Well, I think we spoke about this before. Like,
yeah.
Oh, they're playing, you know,
Doves.
They're playing that kook song I like. Just always think, what the fuck's this? I don't know what this is.
It is like that. I don't know. It's like I've.
Is there like?
You know, I'm a Beatles fanatic, and I've never put the Beatles on in a shop. The only.
Is that because
Beatles,
you think like, would that be bad form in the world of record shops?
It's not worth the hassle in the conversation with your co-workers.
Because would they be like, why are you doing this?
Well, I've managed to convince some of my co-workers of some of Paul McCartney's genius recently, and that's like my proudest achievement at the shop. I'm the only person who likes the Beatles, I think. Maybe the owner likes the Beatles, but
we've got Paul over there.
Love the Paul.
Yeah.
My guy. But I put on McCartney 2. Okay. And that's my go-to one. If people don't like the Beatles, I put on McCartney 2. I don't say it's Paul McCartney. I wait for somebody to go, what is this? This is bizarre.
Yeah.
And you go, it's Paul McCartney in 1979 on a 4-track at home. And it completely changes their opinion. And sort of, I've managed to infiltrate some of that stuff in at the shop. But again, as well, I am still playing the weirdest Beatles-affiliated records. The only other one I play is Approximately Infinite Universe by Yoko Ono as well, which is a genius record, absolutely brilliant. But again, nobody ever knows that it's Yoko Ono, and then once
they do,
people
it's
look
off.
like their face drops when you tell them it's Yoko. It's like, no, she's brilliant. Yoko Ono is fantastic in every fucking way, but people just have this stigma with her. Where as soon as you say it's a Yoko Ono record, they go, oh, fuck, shit. So it is stuff like that, and I think there is. I mean, we play a lot of Bowie and stuff like that. And there's common threads of what it is. But it is always, I started making I was asked to do some Spotify playlist or something. And I didn't send it off in the end, but I started making one which was just all really successful artists, but songs that you would never have heard of.
Right.
the Frank Sinatra album Watertown that did terribly in 1969, which sounds like Pet Sounds. It's incredible.
Okay.
But it's just a completely unknown record.
Why didn't you send this off? You should have sent this.
Because I couldn't quite get it to the amount that I wanted it. I wanted it to be like 15 songs. I think I got to like 12, 13. And I thought it needs to be a bit longer. But I'm going to try and do it. There's like a song called Tapioca Tundra by the Monkees, which is on their last album, which is brilliant, like Mike Nesmith's song. And I'm trying to remember the others. Like I managed to get some really, really like, household names with just songs that, like, if I play them to people, I'm like, I can't believe this has been released, or it sounds nothing like the people, and just weird B-sides and stuff like that. But I'm always looking for that. So I'll always like the record that nobody likes of an artist. There is with the Kinks, there is this record where Ray Davies made this TV musical in 1976 about, it's called Star Maker or something. And Ray Davies goes, and it's like a live TV audience, the Kinks playing on a stage in the background, and he's acting, and he goes in and just knocks on this door of this couple's house. He like invites himself in, he's like, I'm going to turn your pathetic lives around and I'm going to make you into a star. And like, it's just insane. And he's so disparaging the whole way through. He's like, look at this, having toast for breakfast, pathetic. Do you not have any pate? In like the whole record is this concept album of him just going, you puny little terrible lives. And it fills me with such great joy. And I play it to other people like, this is the worst Kinks album I could imagine. And I'm like, it's genius, it's brilliant. So it is always that kind of thing. It's like, you know, in the cover feature, I was talking about how much I hate the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
But just, you know, from the stigma that comes with them. But it's like the Lou Reed album, The Bells, which he did in 1979, which is all him trying to do a funk album.
Yeah, I've heard that album.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's stupid man, doing this mad singing, like really trying to sing. It's so awful, but because it sounds like a proper post-punk record, because it sounds like something the pop group would do. But obviously he's not going for that. He is going for that major label, I want to be a star thing, but it's coming off like early Y Records sort of thing. It's just bizarre. It's great. And those sort of weird oddities are sort of what I really love. And it's amazing that there's so many that are out there that are still undiscovered, that are actually genuinely brilliant. Like that Frank Sinatra record. It's not my favourite record ever. I'm not a huge Sinatra guy. I hate the whole shtick, really, to be honest. Which is weird as well. I've been doing encores where I do That's Life to a karaoke backing track as well.
I've heard reports of this.
But it's just a bizarre. Everybody should listen to it because it's just mad. It's really odd. But I think that is the case with most of the people working there. It is find the most obscure thing. That is your identity. If you have these records that nobody else has, in the same way with like DJ culture or whatever. And it's always like you want to play something to your colleague that the colleague hasn't heard before, and he goes, "That's brilliant," and he'll do the same, and then which is great and a great environment to hear tons of music and sort of learn constantly about new stuff.
Talking of McCartney, have you ever met Paul McCartney?
I wish.
If you did meet him, do you have any? Is there anything you'd wanna? What would you ask Paul McCartney or Ringo? We've put Ringo in there as well.
I wouldn't want to talk to Ringo because of the whole Brexit shit. Ringo can go fuck himself. He's the best drummer ever, but he can go fuck himself. McCartney, I think I would just talk about Secret Friend. I think Secret Friend is the thing which fascinates me the most that he did. It was just an incredible record. It's the single that went with that McCartney 2 record. And it is just like the beginnings of dance music and stuff like that. I think I just want to tell him how much I like it. I don't really know what I'd say. Me and a friend of mine talked about getting Paul and Linda McCartney tattoos on our forearms, like both having a portrait on each arm of Paul and Linda. And it got to the point where he'd even got a tattoo guy to let us get it for free as well. He'd like managed to wang that we're getting these tattoos for free. And now I'm really glad I'm very anti-tattoos now as well. But I was like, okay, let's do it. And then it got to the day when we were going to do it, and I phoned him up and I went, if I meet Paul McCartney at any point, I'm going to have to wear a long sleeve T-shirt, and I'm not doing it. Yeah. I want to be able to have my arms on show. I don't want him to think I'm weird. What if I just see him in the street?
I want Paul to be able to see these arms for what they are.
Yeah, indeed. I don't want him to judge me And you would be like, what the fuck is up with this guy?
That would really. I mean, I'm sure he must have seen stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, because most people that get those kind of things done would probably be the opposite to that, and they would say, "There's Paul McCartney! Quick, I'm gonna take your shirt off. You got you've got his face on your chest. He won't know it's there unless you show him." Expecting like that celebrity, be it Paul McCartney or whoever, to go, "Oh wow,
he must be sick in his mouth slightly every time he sees it." It'd be horrible. I mean, in terms of me, I couldn't imagine what I think it would just be, how has your day been? It would be so minimal, the conversation, because there's nothing I could say that would come close to sort of explaining how excited I was that I was meeting him. And I wouldn't want him to know, I'm awful for that. If I meet somebody I really like, I'll be really, really like sort of cool about it. Mark Riley once brought to a Let's Wrestle show. Mark Riley once brought the entire early lineup of The Fall to apart from Mark Smith, to a Let's Wrestle show, and I was fucking giddy. I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. I'm in Salford playing this gig, and nobody's there apart from all of The Fall, all of like Live at the Witch Trials era Fall.
You must have been about 17.
I was about 17.
Okay.
Steve Hanley, the bass player, was in it till like 1996. It's like Mark introduced us. And after doing lots of sessions with him, Yasmin, my girlfriend's from Manchester, and when we go out for Christmas, we often have a drink with Mark Riley. We did a couple of years ago, and he's become a pal. And Steve Hanley was like talking about, he's like, "Oh, Mark says you really like Paul McCartney." And Paul McCartney and Wings, and then they all started laughing at me about liking Wings, and then I think I said, "Wings shit all over The Fall," and it just ruined it for myself. And they all just looked at me like, "What is wrong with you?" Like I just took it too far, and I was like, "Oh no, I've just slagged off one of my favourite bands in the world. I've just slagged them off to their faces. All my favourite members of The Fall, I've just slagged off to their faces," and it was awful. And since then, I think I'm just very unassuming with it, because I know I have the capability to completely fuck it up and be horrible. And just like, I get very defensive as well.
I would have thought that they would have thought that was hilarious and been like, amazing. Good on you, kid. Like,
I think they probably did find it quite funny, but I think the panic of hearing myself say it means I can't even remember the reaction. I said something along those lines. Maybe not as extreme, but it was definitely something disparaging about them. And it was just really... And I think it was also the thing of like, I was super like punk guy then as well. It's like, what's the most punk way I can react to this? I can really fucking go for it.
I'm going to throw a glass at you.
Yeah, totally. And like, it was just bizarre. And I think did Mark Riley's show on Wednesday, and he was talking about me and Mike from the band having a fist fight, seeing us having a fist fight outside the Star and Garter where we met all of them. And I think it was over me saying that to them.
Oh, it was then?
Like, he was getting angry. He was like, "How could you say that to The Fall?" Like, having this fist fight outside because they were so stressed out that I'd said it.
And you're like, oh, they slagged off Paul.
Yeah, nobody slagged off Paul. Not on my watch.
Yeah. Don't care who you are. Don't care if you are in The Fall. Do you believe in like guilty pleasures in music?
No.
Do you not?
No.
I know that I shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But I think I do. And I actually think that it's quite good to have guilty pleasures. I mean, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because the idea is essentially, obviously, that you shouldn't feel guilty about the music you like.
Yeah.
You like what you like, that you shouldn't apologise for it at all.
Yeah.
But the other day, I was listening to 16 Stone by Bush in my car. And I was very thankful that there was no one else in the car when I was enjoying that album. So. Because I also listened to it. I've not listened to it for a long time. Remember it as a teenager and loved it.
Yeah.
And listened back to it and I realised, this was only yesterday, I realised just how appalling it is.
Yeah.
And especially the lyrics of it. I mean, the lyrics are so nonsensical.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about Gavin Rossdale, and I'd seen him on TV recently, and he was appalling, and he wasn't cool. He didn't come across. He had no kind of humour about it.
Gavin Rossdale, he's not the one, is he?
He's not the guy.
He's not the new Cobain.
Not at all. Not
as
he was marketed to us. And I was thinking, yeah, this is a guilty pleasure. Me listening to that's a guilty pleasure. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware of the fact it's crap.
But I think the what's different for me is that I don't ever feel guilty. I don't have any over music.
You just don't have guilt, full stop.
I don't have guilt. No, I'm an incredibly guilty person. It's the one thing I'm not guilty about. But it's, I really don't, I've never been embarrassed about anything that I like.
No.
I think I'm very confident in the fact that even if it's something that's naff, I can point out what's a good song, what in it is a good...
What you like about it.
Because I have this weird thing where it's like I'm a music fan, but then I have this songwriter brain that even if I don't like something, I can appreciate the songwriting behind it, or I can appreciate why people like it. The only thing that makes me angry is when I can't hear any merit in it. Like, it sounds horrible, I don't like it, and it's poorly written, which is very common, you know.
Yeah.
So even if I don't like it at first, I can still see past it and sort of get a couple of bits where it's like, that bit's good. I remember there was this Maximo Park song in like 2007, and I remember I really didn't like the whole song apart from one section.
Was it the big one, the big single? Is it like
it was
an
the
early
one?
one?
It was like the second album.
Oh, okay.
It was when he had the bowler hat, not the comb over.
I'm with you. I know where that is.
It's the video where they're in a white room and they're just doubled. There's loads of them.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I think I remember that. Rings a bell, yeah.
And there was, I really just didn't get the song until this one bit came in. And I really like songs like that where like there'll be one little segment that I like, and then
That you love,
the rest of it I just hate. And I remember we were at Glastonbury, and we kept on seeing these bands that like other people wanted to see and I didn't want to see. And then it would come to one song, and I'd pick out like 3 phrases and go, yep. Shit again. Shit again. I hate it. And it was sort of, I do bits like that. But with stuff like, I openly love Billy Joel. You know, there's people that I don't care if people think it's shit. It is just, they're wrong. They're wrong. It's really good.
Okay.
But The Stranger by Billy Joel is a brilliant record, always will be. There is no room for manoeuvring with it. And Billy Joel's the only person I can really think of right now that I actually think people could see as a guilty thing. A while ago, I remember when I first started making music, Electric Light Orchestra was like one. People were not into ELO, but I've always loved ELO. But now they seem hip again.
Now everyone's into them, yeah.
Now it's not
cool,
a guilty thing at all to like ELO. It was
the same with Fleetwood Mac, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember like everybody... There used to be a time when hearing a Fleetwood Mac tune in a shop would be like a little treat.
Yeah.
Now you can't go into a vintage clothes shop without them playing Tango in the Night.
It is the most vintage clothes shop music I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I don't know why it has become that, because I remember when I first started going to vintage clothes shops, it would always be like that Rip It Up and Start Again compilation from that Simon Reynolds book or something like that. It would be scratchy post-punk. And now it is just Fleetwood Mac all the time. Fleetwood Mac or UK Garage.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's because the 90s thing's coming back, isn't
that's
it?
back in a big way.
Yeah.
And I love a bit of UK Garage. There's nothing wrong with that.
Me too, yeah.
I think it was it Tusk? I think that's the right Tusk, because it wasn't Rumours. It was, because it's slightly different. And Tusk is a weird record as well. The fact that Lindsey Buckingham changed the studio to make it like a home studio as well.
And it's really weird that on the sleeve, he is thanked by the band. Have you seen?
No, I've not seen that.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Fleetwood Mac would like to thank Lindsey Buckingham.
I think I'm going to thank myself.
That's
on the next one.
That's nuts, isn't it? It's nuts thanking yourself in the third person.
Man, that's a lot of cocaine.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Like they signed off on that. he must have said, "I'd like you all to thank me for my work on this," and they went, "Okay, Lindsey."
So did they have individual thanks then?
No, it's just him.
Fleetwood Mac would like to thank Lindsey Buckingham.
I think so, yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I might be wrong. I mean, I might be paraphrasing, but he is specially picked out.
Stevie Nicks didn't get a
thank
you.
No. It's all him.
She's a witch anyway.
So Greg, who I work with here, a couple of years ago, we were at Primavera Sound.
Oh, no.
You were there, not playing, but he overheard you telling a story to your friends, which he then relayed to me. He was like, I think he texted me, said, Wesley Gonzalez.
What's this gonna be?
It's about you. It was about you going for a job at Sports Direct.
Story. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is a good story.
Okay, yeah.
I was worried.
That's a pretty much clean story, right?
You know, I'm a foul-mouthed piece of shit, so I'm worried that it could be anything. I was signing on, and this is when I was doing Let's Wrestle, and I was signing on, and I'd been signing on for a while, and it got there. I'd been put in this work program, and it was like, you're going to lose your benefits if you don't go for this job interview at Sports Direct. And I was just
Which branch are we talking?
the fucking Stratford,
Oh, okay.
Westfield
Okay,
branch. It
right.
was miserable. So I went, and I went to this office where you went and did the... they basically watched you look for jobs, basically, was what they were doing. They were like, okay, meet here, we're all going to take you. There was me and 3 drug dealers, basically, going for this job interview at Sports Direct. One of which I was talking to, and he was like, yeah, I used to be a manager at JJB Sports. And I was like, okay, perfect, he's got it. But
So
in actually, I haven't fully... before I even went, I made sure that I'd been up all night drinking in the clothes I was going to wear, so I smelt of booze. I really didn't want the job, so I was getting fucking shit-faced, wearing a brown corduroy suit with a psychedelic green shirt, and I turned up at this thing with I think a baseball cap, a green, brown corduroy suit, and a grey, just looking like dressed like Sid Barrett. It was, I was just thinking, what's the weirdest look I can go for? And they took us, we all went on the train with this job centre worker, me, and all the guys had like 3 phones, so it's obvious they're all dealers. None of us want this job. One of them's like, yeah,
you're all trying to throw the job in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and one of the guys talking to me, I used to be a manager at JJB Sports. I was like, okay, that's calmed me down a bit. I went into the back room for this interview. I was the last person to be interviewed as well. I went in, and the questions started with like, first off, are you interested in sports? I go, not really, not really my kind of thing. And he was like, is there any sports you're interested in? I said, darts. I was like, I do like watching darts over Christmas when it's on the BBC, but it's not like I'm going out my way to watch darts. But when it's on BBC, I'll watch it because I like the darts. And he was like, yeah, he said, we've got a darts section and nobody knows about darts. I was like, oh, fuck. It started going downhill, and he was like, so what have you done? I was like, I used to work in a record shop. And I was saying, I'd done this fanzine when I was younger, and I'd used to do fanzines, and I'm really interested in art was the thing I kept on saying. I'm really interested in art, just to basically tell him I'm not interested in this. I'm really interested in art. And then it got to the point where he was like, okay, let's give you a couple of scenarios of what happens. You've got retail experience, you've got retail experience. So,
this is quite good. Like he really wants to help you in a way. That's quite sweet, isn't it?
He doesn't realise that I'm just trying to get out of this as quickly as possible. He says, all right, I'm going to give you a scenario. There's a shoplifter in this shop. What is going to happen here? And I just went, you just got to get him out of the shop. and then I said, the last thing you want is a shoplifter in your shop. Get him out. And that was my answer to the question. And then he said, and then right at the end, he said, I think maybe you should concentrate. No, before he said that, he said, what does he say? One sec, I'm going to get my bearings. He said, okay, so you'll be glad to hear you were the best candidate of the day. Right, so he said, you're the best candidate of the day. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck have those other guys done? What the fuck have they said? They're all wearing pinstripe suits. At least they're dressed properly. And I stink of booze, dressed like Sid Barrett. Doesn't make any fucking sense. You're the best of the day. And I was just like, going, no, don't give me a job, please. And then finally went, no, I think you should concentrate on the art, was what he said. And I got out of it. Thank fucking Christ. And I was like, I have to get a job now because and I got a job in the pub that ended up making me make this record. But it was nightmarish.
Do you think maybe they thought, oh, bless this guy?
Yeah, I think they thought I was an oddball. They knew the guy. There was stuff I was saying. I wish I had it recorded. I wish I put a tape recorder on my pocket because I knew I was going to do it, and it would have made a brilliant. If I turn it into an article or something like that, it would have been great. But I I should have recorded it, but I didn't have the foresight to. But he was just looking at me like, this guy is deranged. What he's saying just makes no. This is the worst interview. But again, how bad could those other guys have been? One of them would manage to JJB Sports. I don't know how it could have gone that badly. It was really just really fucking strange. And then having this miserable journey back with the woman from the job centre, a bit pissed off with me as well. Like, you know,
she's seen this before. She could tell that you just threw it under the bus.
She knew that I was doing something, and there must be so many sort of art people on the dole who are sort of trying to get stuff done. A friend of mine who was also signing on around a similar time, he went in, and I never said I was a musician or anything like that. He told them, I'm looking for a job in, I'm a musician, you see, so I'm looking for a job sort of to do with that. And then the bloke went, okay, all right. And then went and walked, he was like, just give me 5 minutes. And then went over and talked to his co-worker, and my mate could see them both really laughing at him. They were both pointing at him and laughing at him. And it kept on going on, and they all had a really weird attitude to him after he said that. And it came out a couple of weeks later that they thought he said magician.
Midnight Chats is a Loud and Quiet podcast. Music courtesy of Gold Panda. Search Midnight Chats on iTunes for more episodes and to subscribe. For more information, visit loudandquiet.com.